We've been talking about all different ways to improve the quality of our spiritual life. Different practices, going within, inner glow, associating with like-minded people, eating well, meditation for some people, and the list can go on and on. And what we try to do is we look at enlightenment, we look at the symptoms of enlightenment, and then we chase those symptoms of enlightenment instead of chasing what enlightenment really is. And it's not even a chase, it's a discovery. Every day there's suffering. Every day there's turmoil. Every day there's pain in the world. Every day there is desires unfulfilled. There's attachments. There's problems. There's heartache. There's heartbreak, headaches, all this pain and misery. And there's also joyful moments as well, and pleasure. But it's a roller coaster ride that we never are able to seem to get off of. Even people that spend years, decades devoted to spiritual growth. And one of the biggest culprits is they are pursuing the evidence of enlightenment, the symptoms of enlightenment, instead of discovering what it really means to be enlightened. So take all the problems that we all have on a daily basis, problems with the boss, problems with money, and all these things. And then imagine that you died. You died, you're dead, you're gone. Do all those problems still exist? For you, are there any problems now? Is there anything in the world that can cause you pain or suffering or anguish? Is there anything, you're dead, is there anything you need to change about yourself? Is there anything that you need to change about others? Is there anything you need to change about the world if you are dead? And then just sit and bask in this. When I was in the flotation tank, it is kind of like a simulated death. You can't feel your body. It's completely dark. And I was just laying back and just imagining I did not exist. I was dead. There's no Steve. There's no more identity. What problems do I have? There's nothing. There's no problems. There's no pain. There's no suffering. There's no desires. There's no attachments. So instead, what we do in spiritual circles is we say, okay, I'm not going to be attached. I'm not going to have desires. And what we end up doing is we end up running on this treadmill, this spiritual treadmill where we go back and forth over and over and round, and we still suffer. We still are attached. We might make progress here and there, and we can't figure out why. And the realization is that we're playing a game that's an illusion. So instead of saying, you know what, I'm not playing this game anymore, it is all illusion, we say, no, I'm going to play the game and I'm going to try to manipulate the game to my favor. I'm going to try to get more money. I'm going to try to get more people to like me. I'm going to try to get more meaningful relationships. I'm going to try to manipulate the world so the game favors me. I'm going to meditate more so I'm not so stressed out by the game. But in the end, it's all a game. And no matter which way you move the chess pieces or the checkers, you're still participating in the game. And I think that's why people just struggle over and over and over with the same issues, the same problems, the same challenges, the same struggles, the same pain, the same suffering, because they still are identified with the game, with the illusion. So what does it mean not to be identified with the illusion? Well, what it means is to die before you die. If there is no Steve, If I cease to exist, I do not have any problems. So what does that tell me? That tells me that problems are a manifestation of my mind, of my ego, of my thoughts. And when I latch on and go for the ride with those thoughts, it takes me all over the place, here and there, and through all kinds of struggles and trials and tribulations, and I end up suffering. And I say, no, I'm going to take, and I'm going to hold on to the reins, and I'm going to move it in this direction, the direction that I want to go. And then so we spend all our energy, instead of saying, you know what? I'm just going to let go of the reins. And if you love every experience that you have, how can you suffer? And what we do and what we are it's so impounded and embedded in us that our identity, our self-worth is based on our ego, based on being smart, on thinking, on achieving, on succeeding, on ambition. So we're so immersed in this illusion that we can't even see that it's an illusion. And when you no longer say and identify with the thoughts, the worries, the struggles, the need to change the world, the need to change yourself, and you no longer say, hey, I realize that's an illusion, that is a projection of what's going on in here, and when I don't identify it, I'm free. There is a pulse, an energy, a force that runs through this universe, the galaxies, the world, the planets, the trees, the animals. There's that life force. And that interconnected force resides within us. And we all have glimpses and experiences of it when you just have this overwhelming sense of eternal bliss, and it's not externally based. You didn't accomplish anything, you didn't achieve anything. It's not because you made more money. But you could just sit and tap into that. We've all had glimpses of that. And that is disidentifying with our mind and our thoughts. No mind, no thoughts, no problems. And then I know people get fearful. They say, well, what am I going to do next? What do I do with my life? Do I just sit on a corner and on a park bench and waste my life away? And I think that's the first part of liberation, is realizing you're not your ego, realizing you're not the words that come out of your mouth, realizing you're not your job, everything that you've identified with. That's not you. So then what is you? Well, if it's that internal indwelling life force, God, the universal energy, whatever you want to call it. And then you tap into that, and then it starts living within you, and you start living that without. So what we try to do, it's kind of a reverse what we're accustomed to doing. Normally we're accustomed to manipulating, controlling, and influencing the world to make us feel good inside. And what this is saying, you know what, the world is perfect just as it is. I'm perfect just as it is, as I am. I don't need to change anything. And then you start letting go. You have no fears because there's nothing to fear. You're not identified. You're not labeling. You're not identified with your thoughts, and your thoughts are not. Your thoughts is what label things as fear or not fear. You're allowing that life force to come out of you and to be an expression of who you are. And people think, well, then I wouldn't have money. I wouldn't get a job. I wouldn't feed myself. And I say, just watch the birds. Watch animals. This is how they live the animals in the wild. This is how they live on a daily existence. Everything takes care of itself when you let go. When you don't try to control, when there's nothing to manipulate, when there's no thoughts or desires or attachments, because you're not identified them. They might still be there, but you no longer identify them. You live out the music that's within you. Enlightenment, freedom, liberation, whatever you want to call it, is no longer needing to live life. You let life live you. Thanks for listening.